I'm Ashleigh.
I'm Curtis.
And together we're
Information
Lane. Welcome to episode 5.
Welcome to our life.
So today Mike's going to drill us on a little bit more questions so you guys can get to know who Curtis and Ashleigh are.
That's right. Vulnerability is the word for the day. So if you're ready for it, I'm ready for it. Let's ride.
Take it away, Michael.
Heck yeah. Thank you guys so much for having me back. I'm stoked to be here. For those that don't know, we're kind of going to just jump in almost like a part 2 from last week. So what I want to do is kind of just so people know what we really got into last week is who you guys are, why you're here, what you're doing, kind of what your motivations are. Now what we're going to do is kind of do the Star Wars thing where we go back a little bit.
That's right.
And we talk about the people that, like the experiences that you had that made you the people you are and that prepared you for who you are now. And then the learning you do once you get into a healthy, loving relationship, not perfect, just better and healthy and loving, what you find out about yourself, the strength you may find out you had that you didn't know, and then the things you need to work on that you may not know. So maybe we'll start with Curtis. Talk to me a little bit about, did you grow up? For those that don't, everybody knows you're in Florida. Most folks do. Epilepsy Awareness, South Florida. Let's go.
Amen. That's where we're at. South Florida.
Were you a Florida dude? Is your fam from Florida? Tell us a little bit about that.
Actually, no. I'm from Kentucky, Louisville, Kentucky. Little small town. I got to Florida through, as we say, a tragedy. Florida found me. If many people who know me, they know that my daughter's mom was murdered. So that's how we ended up here in Florida. Tough situation, but we thought the best thing to do for the kids was to take the kids and come someplace where they couldn't have distractions or people asking them a million questions, cameras in their face all the time, because they deserve to be kids. Now, what happened was a tragedy. Let me just tell you, affected a lot of lives. But in the process, it taught those kids to be strong because they actually had nothing. When we got those kids all together, they had nothing. What we did was we took all the kids. We didn't just take the kids that belonged to us and separate them and go here and there. But we could have. We didn't. We made a bond to make sure that those kids grew up together. So that's my kids, Esau's brothers and sisters. We kept them all together successfully. They're doing very well. We have a Marine. We have 2 college graduates. We have a lot of things going on. And let me just tell you, they saved my life. They're my heroes. And that's how we got to Florida.
Before you had kids, where were you at?
I was in Kentucky. I went to California. I was a little bit everywhere. I was a lost soul. I wouldn't say lost soul. I was just out here wandering, if people know what that is. I lived in my head for a long, long time. I think that's why I kept running, because if I stayed too long, I'd get, what they say, attached. Yeah, I would get attached to people, and I just couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't afford to lose anyone else, so I just keep pushing. If I felt myself getting comfortable, I'd move on. That way I didn't have to go through things.
Wow, with the tragedy, I didn't realize you went through that. That's a huge deal.
It is, and a lot of people don't really understand that until they go through it. I wish that on no one. A heinous crime to a good person, you know what I mean, didn't deserve it. But the tragedy led me to where we are right now, and that's not a good thing. I don't mean that by any part. So if anybody's listening to this, I do not condone domestic violence. I'm against it. If you put your hands on a woman, you ain't no real man in my book. So let me just tell you, I don't play that right here. I don't teach my boys that way neither. You need to teach your kids that same message. But I think what we did is we raised young men, young women. They don't make excuses. And I think that's where I got my strength is they never made an excuse for the day. They just kept up, succeeded in everything that they tried to do. And I think for the most part, Xavier, that's the oldest boy. He's not my son, but I treat him like my son. He is the one who had the most passion. He wanted to make his mom proud the most. And I tell him all the time, buddy, you did. And you did an amazing job. And to be as old as he was, to go through what he was going through, he held it together pretty well for these young ones. And he still does. So shout out to Xavier, man. You're a big dude.
So
Love
with
you.
4 kids, tell us about Curtis the child.
Um, I don't know. I was a normal child at first, and then I'm gonna just shout this out before we get going any further. Ashleigh Howe, love you, baby. Rose, love you. Curtis was.
Yeah, let's if we can take it all the way back, and this is just because I know, and this is something that very few people ever on any podcast will be able to say, but if you're comfortable, if you could tell us about your mom and your dad, because I know, and that's crazy. So if you could tell us kind of the difference between those two folks and how unlikely it is they came together,
Yeah.
Buckle up.
Buckle up. Let me just say, hey, that now, mind you, I don't know everything, but I know enough. Just from, I pay attention to everything. I was always the kid that listened. I was also a fat kid. So if you was in the kitchen cooking, I was in there looking for some samples. Let me tell you, and I'm still the same. But my mom, her family was all white. It was an all white family. Let me tell you, there was no nothing other than white folks in her family. And my dad, he was the only child. He was born on the 4th of July, so his birthday Saturday. If y'all get a chance, wish him happy birthday. He was the 7th son. He had 6 other brothers before him, and every one of those guys passed away at birth. So his mom was a high risk. And love you, Grandma. I love you, miss you. But she had him, only child, raised him up. His dad, his name was Eddie. He worked hard. He was, I don't know what his education was because we never got to really meet him. But he was a worker. So my dad was always working. He always had goals. But when he got out of high school, he went straight to Vietnam. He did 2 tours. He was a door gunner. I don't know what else he did because he don't really like talk about it. But I know that PTSD is real. Folks out there, PTSD is real. You gotta give them grace. So to say in the 70s, segregation was just about, over. Integration had started. There were no more all white, all black fountains. Some people didn't like it. So now here's where it gets tricky. My dad is an African-American, poor farmer, went to Vietnam, came home, found my mom, fell in love. But to come to find out, some of her family were card-carrying members of the Ku Klux Klan. So that's what makes it real rough. So you're not getting very many barbecues, or you're not getting birthday parties. You get called certain names. They were definitely rough. And, we'd always say we didn't want to go, but they made us go. But I think it was at that time when those soldiers was coming home, they were looking for love. They were looking for something other than killing. And I think that's how they met. I can't really tell you, but I still have the leather jacket that he wore on the day he went to, he was enlisted. So let me tell you, it's a fire jacket. I ain't gonna never put it on. It was too little, but I think they had dealt with so much because of the race mixing, it wasn't more. So that's why Ashleigh and I try my hardest because I know what they went through in the beginning. And so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna break those curses. But for them, they were young, going through it. But that eventually led to some trauma. And I'm going to tell you, 1706 Nelson Avenue is the house of horrors, buddy. The house of horrors. And what's funny is you look at neighborhoods and you wouldn't even think stuff like that was going on. And inside those walls, boy, it was torture.
They could only talk.
Ooh. Hey, let me tell you, if I ever make it rich, I'm buying that house and I'm burning it. I'll tell you, it's coming down.
Fair. And yeah, dealing with that trauma, and who knows what they dealt with growing up. But I just thought of that saying, hurt people hurt people.
Yes.
And while love brought people together, if you're hurt, you only know how to behave in that mode, no matter how much you love someone, no matter how good you want to do for them. You just can't because you don't know how. If no one taught me how to walk, I'm not walking, no matter how much I want to. So, yeah, and
that also affects you growing up too. When you don't have nobody supporting you. For all you folks out there that grew up without dads, let me tell you, if you have a dad, sometimes it's just as bad. I mean that
comes with, yeah, growing up with someone who never met my father. You could show me a picture and be like, "Is this the guy?"
Right.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. it, you know, sure, it comes with its own set of stuff, but absolutely, in talking to certain friends of mine with really, you know, heavy situations and bad fathers, you know, I feel blessed in a way because I was kind of free to put it together myself. You know what I mean? Like, I was free to kind of come up with it myself versus overcome bad teaching, right?
Right.
You know, so yeah, it can be very challenging. And man, that was tough. And Ashley, tell us a little bit about your family, your mom and dad. We don't know much about that story.
So my mom was born in Boston, Massachusetts. My dad was born in Long Island, New York. They met in Florida. My mom, actually, they met in the Bahamas. My mom graduated from Freeport High. My grandfather owned oil rigs over there. So they got married. My mom was 25. I think my dad was 27. After they got married, they tried having children. Didn't happen. Finally, it happened. And I was the first of two, my sister and I. My sister and I are 2 years apart. So my parents were together until my sister was 6 and 8. And then they divorced. They couldn't see eye to eye together. No hidden secret. My dad cheated on my mom. Everybody that's in the family, everybody all knows that. So for the majority of my years growing up, I was raised by a single mother. My dad was present, but he also was in the construction industry and he traveled a lot. So he was in the Grand Caymans a lot, building waterfalls for hotels and stuff like that. So my dad's relationship and mine was rough after that time, just because he was in and out, and I saw my mom as being a consistent parent. So, which is why I have been some of my characteristic traits, well, I should say a lot of my characteristic traits come from my strong-headed mother. And she's the kind of person that she absolutely did the best that she could. I never wanted for anything. She was involved in all of our school stuff. She was a loving mother. She was always there. She was there more than she probably needed to be. She spoiled us. I mean, I don't think I cut my first steak until I was 18 years old. So just to say, you know, like she was always there. We were Girl Scouts, my sister and I. She was involved in that. I was in dance. My mom put us in dance when I was 4. I was doing Patan, and then we went and danced, and I did dance for 18 years. And then when I got in high school, I danced in high school. I was on the dance team. I've done dance has been my passion for most of my life as far as a hobby growing up. It's where I was most comfortable. I could be myself in an expression of dance, right? So that was what I loved to do as a child. I didn't have a lot of the trauma that Curtis had when he was growing up, although my parents divorced when we were young, my sister and I, but our parents still let us know that we were loved. And my dad's side of the family was huge. So every 4th of July, every Easter, every holiday, birthday, we had huge family gatherings. And my mom always tagged along with us because my parents were married for 25 something years. So, you know, with that being said, they had a relationship. And so like just because you divorce and you have children, when you don't have children, it's different. But when you have children, your ex-family is still your family, you know, when you have children. Yeah. So my mom always went to those things, which I am so grateful for my dad's side of the family that they still accepted her to do that. But yeah, my childhood was much different than what Curtis's was, which makes me feel my heart goes to him and I understand the things that he goes through. But as far as like understanding the trauma, I can't even fathom some of the things. And like during later episodes, we'll get into more vulnerability, but it's definitely something that will shake you once he tells his full story to everybody. So growing up, that was pretty much my story. I had my son at 20 years old, a month before my 21st birthday. And I pretty much raised him as a single parent myself. I mean, his father didn't see eye to eye. My son was 6 months old. It was like shit or get off the pot type of thing. And he got off the pot. So I raised my son, who's now 30. And I raised him by myself pretty much with the help of my mother and my family. So that's pretty much my story, like leading up to meeting Curtis. I mean, I have there's a lot of a gap in between, but pretty much my childhood was plain and simple.
The overall, and it wasn't. I'm sure we'll get into that. And jumping back over to Curtis. Okay, so they had you, and what I like to try to do is remember like my earliest childhood memories. Like one of my earliest childhood memories was that I was different because I didn't have a dad. It was just me and my mom. There were no brothers, sisters. We were in a 1-bedroom apartment. All these other kids had houses and yards and dads, and it was just different. And I remember that. Like I remember that being a legit memory as a young child that I had, right? And then I remember thinking as a young child, maybe 7 or 8 years old, that I was going to have to fight. I know maybe not the best as a young child, but I realized because I didn't have a dad or a big brother, I needed to fight people if I needed to get what I was going to. Because remember, if you're bigger and stronger, well, my dad's going to beat up you. My big brother's going to. I didn't have that. So just learn to punch, watch the cartoons, learn how Batman did it because he didn't have superpowers. Yeah, man. Yeah. So what would you say like some of your first memories are as far as like as a child in a really different situation than like say the average kid in America, if you will?
Yeah.
What were some, if you would kind of take us to that?
Well, it's definitely different than most people's story. And trust me, anything I tell you is from my heart, and there's never any attention needed. But the childhood was not so great. We had people to come over, but we lived in a predominantly all white community. So of course, you know what you got to deal with then. They was fresh off the N-word, but you still get called that at home, and that I got called a half breed and mud. I got called a little bit of everything. Now this is the neighborhood that you live in. So my dad was like, yo, y'all can't even leave the yard. I was like, we couldn't understand it back then. So we was like, yo, why are we stricken to the yard? And it was because of those threats and, things that he was getting also because he's the only African-American man in this neighborhood. So we couldn't understand it growing up, but I kind of get it now. But it also crippled us because it didn't teach us how to deal with adversity. It taught us how to run from it. So they was promoting stigma way back then. But it definitely affects you growing up. And I think one of the first childhood memories I had is when I loved baseball. And I went to try out for the baseball team, and they told me I couldn't because I was colored. I was like, oh, okay. So I went home, told my dad, and the police came over and told him, said, yeah, he can't play. So we just he can't play. So shout out to the F.E.E.D. I won't let their names be out there, but shout out to them. I didn't do anything, but I was just trying to be a kid, man. I just wanted to play some ball. But so growing up in a neighborhood like that, you got to move along. So I found some neighborhood. We used to hang out in the projects because that's the only kids you can hang out with. And they're going to call you no name. So you go over and you hang out with them. So I guess, of course, you can guess what happens after that. The projects for a reason. No shout out, none against anybody that lived there, but I didn't have a good experience. I made it out, but
they definitely will shape you.
Yeah, they definitely shape you. They'll put you into things and situations that you don't want to be in. So growing up as a kid, I didn't really have no role models. Really, I had people I didn't want to be like, and some of my people was those I didn't want to be like. So I just had to get up out of there. They was too handsy, and let me tell you, I took a lot of L's in that house. Some of them were uncalled for, but my childhood was mostly defensive. We wasn't really taught hugs and kisses. We was taught duck and misses. Let me tell you, because if you get caught one of them, boy, it's over. I remember my dad.
I don't mean to laugh, but that's a great.
I don't mean to laugh either, but it's funny the way he says it.
Yeah.
Hey, no, it's
healing.
It's therapeutic, right? There's not a good comedian in the world who had a good childhood. You know what I mean?
I deserve that laugh. Let me tell you.
Yeah, no, you earned it the hard way. I'm sorry.
And I think my dad was like, my dad was, he was an alcoholic. Like he was on alcohol pills. He came home from the military. And like, let me tell you, the PTSD is real because we went through it. I went through that. And nothing like getting the couch flipped over on you. Just random acts of violence because, they lapse out. They're going through things. So to all you vets out there, man, much love. I know that you guys are struggling. And I promote mental health. So if you have ever any issues, please reach out to me. I know you don't know me, but reach out because I'm here for you.
So speaking about mental health, I'm going to jump into a couple of things that I personally know about Curtis's past. Curtis has had lost his mother and his brother. They both committed suicide. So this question is kind of both for you and my And we're going to jump forward a little bit too, but I needed to bring this up to introduce the question. So because you both are epileptics and you both have been through the depression thing, because that goes along with epilepsy, right? We have this roller coaster of emotions, and not just epileptics. There are other people that go through this roller coaster of emotions too, but we all know that a lot of the side effects from some of the medications do that. What has been your journey with depression?
Well, that's a long road, boy. Depression is one of those things, like, you don't really know that you're depressed until you know that you're depressed.
So,
yeah, such a loaded question. Yeah,
it definitely is. And I'm asking because for myself, growing up, my son had some depression issues too, with his father and things like that, you know, not feeling wanted as most kids do without parents growing up. Yeah. I bet you can relate, right, Mike? So for me, suicide, I'd always thought was the cowardly way out, right? Life is so joyful. Why would you just want to take the cowardly way out? Right. But then hearing Curtis's story and hearing the pain that his brother and his mother had gone through, I totally think about it differently now. So like, that's where my question is really stemming from. I get it. I had to explain a little bit more. Yeah. I'm sorry about that. So you're good. Depression, how has that affected you in your life?
Well, you know, losing the two people that you care for the most, that's the roughest part. You never really heal from that. Suicide is one of those things you don't heal from. You just learn to live with it. For me, the lowest part, and I think what changed my life, was that day I put the gun in my mouth.
Thank God it didn't work.
I pulled that trigger, and let me tell you, that thing jammed. And that's how I knew I was supposed to be here.
Thank God.
So what I did was I carried that pain for a long time through life. And it stemmed from childhood trauma, not being listened to, pushed to the side. Oh, stop whining. What you crying for? You're not supposed to do that. You're not a man if you cry. Come on, man.
Curtis was also raised that smiling was bad. So for the longest time, he didn't smile. In fact, it's only been since we've been together that he actually smiles and enjoys smiling, because we've gone through therapy together to both help us from past traumas, past relationship hurt. And we didn't want to go through that again. Right. So Curtis had mentioned in his story that he had people he knew he didn't want to be like. He never had role models. So when we first got together and asked each other, you know, what is it that you're looking for? What do you want? What do you know, what type of things like that? Neither one of us could answer that question. We were both just like, well, we know what we don't want, right, because we had all of those traumas from years and years and years ago we went through. So we understood that from the beginning. Okay, right, these are the things we are not going to accept. These are the things we're not
taking it.
Right. So, which I feel like almost is a good foundation, because sometimes things start out as rainbows and unicorns, two healthy people coming together, and then the toxicity starts. So were we toxic at one point? Absolutely. But it's not until we got help, we got therapy, and we realized that we truly loved each other, but we also were bringing luggage with us still. And sometimes you need to cut the luggage and leave it behind.
Right. How about you, Mike?
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about your depression stuff with your life growing up with no father. And
yeah, man. Trying to figure out where to start. I'll say it like, I'll just give you the overall, and then you can get it.
That's right. Sure. That's right.
The way I look at it is, and this, just so folks know, I've dealt with severe depression. Like, you know, where doctors are like, good Lord, what's wrong with you? You're like, right, dude, if you don't know, we're all screwed. But right. To me, as someone who doesn't drink anymore, you know, used to be heavy into it, definitely a recovering alcoholic, although I haven't drank in over 8 years. So I'm pretty happy about that. But okay, so depression is like that old drunk buddy, right? So don't know if everybody's had this experience, but when you're in your early to mid 20s, and not you guys, because y'all had kids out the gate, but a lot of people don't. But anyway,
I was still drinking.
Yeah, no, I was still. Yeah, I needed them. But anyway, no. Yeah. But when you're drinking and you're in your mid to early 20s, you meet these guys that are in their like late 30s, early 40s, and they're living in the same apartment with 2 roommates you're living in at 23 years old, and they haven't really moved past it, right?
Right.
And they're still at the club. For me, it was the comedy club, because that's, as a struggling comedian, that's where you hang. It's where you're going to get your free beer, where you're going to meet comedians, where you're going to possibly get stage time, where your buddies, the other comics, are. It's where you hang. So I've actually got one specific guy in mind. I don't even know if he's still around. But depression is like that guy, in that he's always there, and he's always drunk, and he's always bumming cigarettes, and he hasn't moved on. And you look at him and you go, that's me. That's me. And the only difference between that guy and me is a couple of years. The only difference between me and this guy is space, right? Because in a bit of time, I'm him, unless I make some moves in life or different decisions. But he comes around, and you don't hate him. You like the guy. You just wish, but you also understand this guy is where he is because of the decisions he's made. That's depression, right? That lives with you. That lives inside you. That guy's always there. You understand, if I start listening to this guy and making him a friend, I'm going to be drunk, bumming cigarettes, crashing on his couch soon, right? And you have to understand that that guy exists, and he's not necessarily, you don't want him to necessarily go away, as far as, you know what I mean? That guy exists, and it's going to be there. So why is this person so important and strong in your life? And when you pray and you give it to God and you try to understand, you go, oh man, well, there is a depth to this that people that haven't experienced it will never understand.
That's right.
There's a heaviness, there's a darkness, there's a hopelessness and nihilism, if you will. I'm sorry to get nerdy on you.
No.
But there is this hopelessness that exists in this deep depressive place where it's just pain. Every breath you draw in hurts. It hurts to breathe. And you're like, God, take me out. Stop my heart, please. It's okay. It's okay.
That's right.
And so if it's your ministry, become aware of that. Understand how that feeling comes, where it comes from, what it is, and then see how you can help others in it. You see people deep in it and they feel hopeless, and they're like, man, it's not you. It's not anybody else. I'm broken. I'm damaged. I'm traumatized. Whatever you need to say, whatever word you need to put on it, I'm that. And so I'm not worth helping. And, whatever is whatever. And I think that can be a real ministry. And I think it's kind of an overlooked ministry right now in where we're at in modern day Christianity, is understanding depression is a real place. It behaves just like a disease in your physical body, the way it can literally shut you down. And we need to love people and understand and try to help people through that.
That's right.
Sorry to go so long. And then that's depression. And then suicide is that really evil, nasty guy that walks in, you know what I mean, to you in depression.
Yeah.
And suicide goes, or in depression goes, hey, I know this guy. He's cool. Let him sit at the table with you.
Right.
And then, let him, give him a place. And then he sits there. You're like, oh, I got weird vibes. But then as you go and you hang out with depression long enough, it makes sense that suicide has a place at the table. And then it's not that uncommon. And then it makes a whole lot more sense that both of you listen to him. Then you go, no, this guy's a bad guy. We shouldn't have given him a seat at the table. And then you start fighting those thoughts that have infected you about, that, and how it can make more sense than sticking around. And you understand that is a lie from the devil. And that is because of depression, suicide. I fully believe suicide is a demonic force, because it's one of those that, and Curtis, hopefully this will help you get into it. It spreads. I never dealt with suicide in my own life or suicidal thoughts, like to the point of they won't let you go. They grab you and they won't let you go. Until I experienced it firsthand, right? And it's when you're that close to it, it's almost like, for lack of a better way to say it, man, it gets on you, and you feel that. And then you feel it in a way you had no idea you could feel it, and then you're dealing with it. So if you want to maybe share your experience there. Yeah.
It definitely does. It spreads, because when my mom, when she committed suicide, boy, I thought that was the last hope. Like I said, we wasn't always on the best of terms, but I know if she needed me, if I needed her, I can go to her, vice versa. We had like a love-hate relationship. She didn't like me because of my dad's name. They named me. She didn't like me because she said I'm like my dad. But she depended on me to do most things. So when she passed away, I mean, it literally sucked everything I had out of me. I mean, I couldn't even leave the house. I wanted to sit in my room, do nothing all day. That's when I found liquor. You know, I started drinking and here and there. And next thing you know, I'm that guy that you're speaking of. And then one day I just got my life together. I was like, well, what are we gonna do? We got sink or swim, buddy. And I chose to swim. Made all the right moves to get my life back in order from this one. And next thing you know, boom, just had a son. Amazed, a proud father. My brother's the best uncle everywhere. Got a call. My dad says, you need to get down here. I said, well, what's going on? He said, your brother. I said, oh man, what happened to get locked up again? Because he was always into it with the law. He would say he was feisty. And he said, no, he's dead. Oh man, let me tell you, that was my Frank James.
To lose two people to suicide has to be rough.
Oh yeah.
So now let's just fast forward a little bit. I know we're going to jump around in this episode. Now we fast forward a few years. You get diagnosed with epilepsy. Depression strikes again.
Yeah.
How are we dealing with depression this time?
Well, this time, you know, I gave depression. It's like baseball. I gave depression 3 strikes and it's out. You can't get me. You can't get me again. I'm prepared. I think mentally I wasn't ready, but physically I was, you know, because I'm a machine. The dog is in me. I'm going to hunt. But my mind wasn't wrapped around it totally. I think it was rough.
Do you think dealing with what you've dealt with in your childhood helped you deal with the epilepsy depression?
Well, it did, because I knew I had to walk in faith. Back then, I didn't have faith. I wasn't deep into the church. Shout out Pastor T, Pastor Sean, my anchor church. We love you guys. But like I said, it definitely helped me because I was able to wrap my head around it, and I had to trust myself, because what helped me during the suicides was trust. I had to trust people. And just to go back, I hit back and forth. But when she said that I wasn't smiling, I didn't have anything to smile for. So let's put that statement on it. And going forward, my brother passed away. I have a son. I'm at my lowest. I mean, literally the lowest. And my son's sitting on my lap. He said, Dad, where's Uncle Droopy? And I got to tell my 2-year-old that his uncle's dead.
That's rough.
So when I sat down and I put that gun in my mouth, I thought about what would my son say? Where's my dad?
Right.
So that's what saved me.
Yeah.
Trey, that's my dog. He saved my life, because I don't want him to sit on somebody else's lap and be like, where's my dad?
Yeah. And as a single parent with a 2-year-old, dealing with your brother recently taking his own life, already having your mom's taken her own life, what was that one distinctive moment where you said, enough, I have got to do this?
The day I put the gun in my mouth and that thing jammed up. I mean, literally, that thing jammed. 9mm, Smith & Wesson, it was in there, hollow point. Don't do it. Suicide is not worth it. Your life matters. Trust me. I'm sitting here today because miracles. I believe in Jesus Christ. He's got me sitting here in front of you today. These tears running down my eyes because I believe.
Yeah. Well, thank God that you do believe, because our lives, this podcast wouldn't be here if you weren't here.
I love the fact that it's not even about me. It's about the mission. Like epilepsy, I learned to deal with the depression through epilepsy by watching other people. There's other people out here who have it way worse than I do. I've talked to people in Kenya. I've spoke to people in Russia, Tanzania. I've spoke to people all over this world, and we have the right to be upset. Definitely. But these people have nothing to lean in on. There's no education, there's no resources, there's nothing for these people, just like there's nothing for us here. So the depression that comes along with that, it comes because you feel like you're lost. There's no help, like you're stuck. There's no answer. There's no way out. So people dig down inside their head, they start living there, and that's where that depression comes from. But for me, I was always told, and I live by this. One of the people, Ed Milet, just go listen to him. That man will have you motivated. He'll want you to build something on the moon, I promise you. But
One day.
it took for me to believe in every one person, because I have a motto. I said, all it takes is one person to believe, and I'm that one person. So everybody out there, just know I believe in you.
So we talked about mental health, and we're both on Facebook actively. We have our social media page, Epilepsy Awareness South Florida, SFL. Go like, subscribe, follow. We're both very active on social media, and I come across a lot of posts of people that are in relationships that have epilepsy. And I see a lot of people saying, I recently just came across a post the other day, people saying, my wife can't handle my seizures anymore, or my husband says I'm too much, or all of these things, should I just let him go? I don't want someone to see me having a grand mal seizure. I know it's hard for them to watch it. All of those things. I want to ask both of you, because you both are married to amazing women.
Hey.
Very
Let's
beautiful.
go.
That's right.
How having epilepsy and having seizures, has that affected your relationship at all? Or do you feel most comfort that having your person so that you know that you have that unconditional love?
Mike, go ahead, Mike.
Man, I'm lucky because I met her after I developed my epilepsy, right? So one of the things she realized was I was struggling with it. I was having, focal seizures and not realizing them and not getting stuff done. And she's like, people aren't happy with you, but you don't remember, you can't, because you don't know what's going on, and you come back and you've lost time or you didn't get something done. You don't even remember till 3 days, and you call and go, hey, were we supposed to do a thing? And they're very upset with you, but they don't understand you won't remember for 2 days unless somebody tells you. And at the time I was living by myself, working full time, and then had some other things going, was, starting the PT pod thing. So I had no idea a lot of this stuff. And then I got with her, and she was kind and loving and understood. So I was real lucky, blessed, way past lucky to blessed. I tell her all the time, and I mean this, that she is my living, walking, talking proof that God loves me and wants the best for me. Straight up.
Oh, I love that.
Shout out to Amy. Let's go, Amy.
Shout out Amy. Let's go. Sorry.
She deserves all of that.
The crowd.
Okay.
Hey,
She deserves it.
hey, as Jay Uso says, run it back. Run it back.
Run it back. Run it back.
But I would say also the same thing. Like I was blessed. Like I said, I take most of the stress out on her, so I definitely got the right person. But for me, I think to find your person, and you don't know it when they wipe you down in the midst of the treachery,
Yeah, treachery is a good word.
Yeah, when you're having when that person snuck up on you from the back and got you on the ground, that's the person that's holding you up. You know what I mean? So I shout out my wife, because she's the best caregiver ever, and she'll look it up. If you can't find the information, we definitely will find it, because she was destined to know everything. And trust me, by now we don't know everything, but we know everything. So if you lean in, we got you.
And if I can just speak to it for a second, man, strength.
Go ahead.
There's something about us that maybe it was subconscious, and thank God, you know what I mean? That, but man, more than anything, I mean, yeah, it is lovely. And Ashleigh, you are gorgeous. And yes, my wife is beautiful, and it's lovely to have an attractive woman, but more than anything, I want a strong woman. Like,
Right.
And I'm talking about the things that have nothing to do with our relationship. Like, who are they outside of us? Right. Yes, it's nice to have a woman that people consider attractive. I love that. But and beauty's in the eye of the beholder anyway. But regardless of all of that, a strong woman. I joke around. I'm like, I want a woman who will stand back to back with me when the horde
Oh,
comes.
blows, yeah.
Horde, me and her, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. I need a warrior. Yeah. And that is Ashleigh in every sense of the word. That strength.
Yeah.
And honestly, as the kind of men we are, very independent thinking, we're going to do what we feel is best, period, the end. And we're dealing with our epilepsy stuff. We need some of the strongest women you can find, period. We need strong women that will fight for us, that will sometimes fight against us, that will fight with us against our epilepsy when we don't even know we're in the battle, right? Like that is so valuable, and you just can't find that. You can't create it. You can't pray and hope your woman gets it. Either you have a woman that, you know what I mean, loyal to the soil is the only way I can really say it, or not, you know, and we know, and that is gives you a source of strength to go. And if this woman was gonna leave me, she'd have done left because all of this mess. So now I know I've got her. And so let's build and take over the world.
I did say that in the beginning. I told her, I said, you didn't sign up for this. I said, you know, if you want to walk off now, I wouldn't be mad, you know. So like I gave her the option, but she chose to stay. So
because we took wedding vows, and I said in sickness and in health, and this is sickness and in health. So like it doesn't matter to me. You know, yes, he got epilepsy afterwards, but okay, so what? So we keep moving. It's a speed bump in life, and I love you no matter what. You could have lost your left arm, and I could care less. Like, I still love you. I love you for who you are, not your abilities of things. You know, and I have to say, give a shout out to my mother, because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be as strong as woman as I am, because she was a single mom, and raising two girls in the 80s and 90s wasn't, I mean, it's not nearly as challenging as it is today. With technology and everything, and thank God there wasn't technology, so there's no proof that I was a horrible child.
Well, they said she was bad.
But
oh, we can tell.
I paid her rent for my money. I mean, my sister and I were yin and yang. My sister was like, why can't you be more like her? And I was like, don't be like her. So, but I also wanted to live life. I wanted to have fun and, you know, all those things. But yeah, shouts out to my mom, because if it wasn't for her, and again, shouts out to my grandmother on my mom's side, because my grandmother was a rock. If God, I wish Curtis would have met my grandmother before she passed away, and even my father. But my grandmother on my mom's side, she was a rock. I was her guardian angel before she passed away. I quit my job. I took care of her before she passed away, because she did not want to be in a nursing home. And for me, family is everything. So I wanted her to be in the safest place. I wanted her to be comfortable. So yeah, shouts out to the strong women in my life that have shaped me to be the woman that I am today. Right. And my mom always had a motto, and it was, if you want something done right, do it your damn self.
Amen.
That part.
What's funny is I see how y'all are like, when people get to know you two, it makes total sense you're together. You're like, oh, of course I would put these two together. If it was like a game and you pick two people, of course we would pick you two.
And
like,
what I thought was funny though is like she was raised that way to be strong. And my childhood, I was raised to carry the load, because God knew whenever I got older, I was gonna need that strength on the inside. So I think He did everything. Everything's for a reason, and I think the good and the bad, because without one, you can't have the other. So.
Amen. Now, let me ask you this, because even I don't know, but in the Lane clan altogether, how many offspring are we looking at here? 12? It's like the Lane's house on the prairie, you know?
No. Well, I have three. I have three. Ashley has one. Now, the other kids, Xavier, Selena, Emilio, Kendall, them are all from the other side of the family. Emilio, Selena, and Xavier and Isabel are brothers and sisters.
They share the same mother.
But being as they were Isabel's siblings, they came along for the ride. They were not going to leave them, no soldier left behind. And there was a lot of sweat and guff over it, you know, but ultimately the kids made the decision. And I told Xavier, we went to his mom's funeral, and I told Xavier, I was sitting with him on the front row, and I told him, I said, man, I'm here for you for the rest of your life. You can't get rid of me. You know, Esau's my daughter, so I'm here for you. And we've stuck to that, man. Let me tell you, these kids are flourishing. They're doing amazing. They're going to be pillars in this community. And it's not what we did, it's what God did. God put us on this mission, and now He's going to finish this mission with this podcast, this information lane, epilepsy awareness, education, outreach. Here we come.
And Curtis has, well, he has a sister, a younger sister, and he had a younger brother. And he also has a half brother. So, and then I just have the one sister. Like I said, we're 2.5 years apart. And that's all I have for siblings.
Hey, and you know, blood does not make family, you know.
That's right.
Being
No,
from the
it
South,
doesn't.
it's kind of two rules, man. One, show up with a plate for Thanksgiving.
Amen.
And two, if we're doing a big thing, a work around the house, and you drive by, pull over, grab a load. Like then
That's
you're
right.
family. You're
That's
family to
right.
us.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Help out.
And it's crazy how this community with epilepsy, there's so many people that have touched your souls. I mean, we've had so many people come
Man,
into our lives
Feel my
that
heart, man. You'd be amazed.
it's definitely amazing. I mean, if it wasn't, like I've mentioned on other episodes, and I'm going to continue to say it until you guys get sick and tired of hearing it, and even if you are, get over it. But if it wasn't for Ashleigh and Rose Howell, I don't even know where I would be in life, because she is an amazing caregiver, and she's somebody that helped me navigate this when this first started. I knew that epilepsy was not a cure and move past it type of thing. This was a long life thing that we were going to live with for the rest of our lives. You know, and everybody has hard days, and some days there's days where I'm like, I can't do this anymore, but it's not physically meaning I can't do it. It just means like I can't do it right now. You know, like, and I'm allowed to have bad days as a caregiver and his wife. You know, that's where the fine line comes. I'm going to be honest with you. Sometimes if I'm having a bad day and I want to vent to him, sometimes the emotions just get a little bit too much between the two of us. And now we have to remember we're on the same team, because he too fights his own battles daily with things that he can and can't do anymore. You know, he didn't used to take naps before. And if he takes a nap, it's a great day. So there are just certain things that we know that our life has to adjust to. Same thing with, like we've talked about, short-term memory. When Curtis has something to say, I need to allow him to say what he has to say. Because if I keep talking, when I go to ask him, he's like, I don't know, I forgot. So, and that's just part of epilepsy. It's the short-term memory loss. So, you know, there's a lot of things to navigate through this. And we've mentioned this before, our pastor, she was amazing too, helping us navigate this. And our senior pastor, they're married, he was her caregiver. So it was really helpful to have a community of people that are considered family.
Absolutely. You build that family, I think, especially after the kind of the conditions, and then you guys sharing with us kind of what you've been through to be where you are. You do build a family. It doesn't necessarily look like a nuclear family, but it works, man. And that's the most important part.
The fun part for us is that so now we're pillars of our community, because we're doing this Information Lane podcast, and everybody watching, thank you so much for your support. We appreciate you. But for instance, we went to the mall the other day, and my girlfriend's daughter was working at a store, and she's like, I've been watching you guys' podcast. That would just like totally filled our cups. I was just like, oh my God. But to hear like friends and family, so to say that they're watching, and, you know, in random places that you don't expect, is amazing. And it makes you feel like what we're doing is changing lives, and it's helping raise awareness, and it's spreading things. So because people are starting to become more open to telling their stories, because they see us sharing our stories, and that's what we want. Right. The more people that share their stories, the more awareness, the stronger the stigma break will be.
And to that, I mean, yes. And like, there are so many dudes, I think, out there like me, and maybe in Curtis's position, when you wonder, am I ever going to have love again? And what's it going to look like compared to in the past? Because now I'm different. So every experience I have is going to be different to a certain extent, you know?
Right.
And then they tune in the show and they see somebody like you and guys like me and Curtis that, you know, aren't in love and married yet. We get hope. We're like, oh my gosh, you could get an Ashleigh. Like, you know, be a good man, be a Curtis, and you could get an Ashleigh. And then we know there are women looking out there who wonder, you know what I mean? Am I going to find a good man, especially nowadays? And then they see a Curtis and they're like, be an Ashleigh, and you could get a Curtis. And that's what we're talking about.
And it's out there. It's out there. Let me tell you, it's out there. There's somebody for everybody. You just have to, you cannot love somebody, or you cannot find somebody broken. You will never find anybody in a broken state. So, what you have to do is you got to heal first. And that goes back to that mental health. What I did is I let all that stuff go. I apologized to the younger me, and I moved on as the older me. So
gotta love yourself.
That's right. You got to forgive yourself for everything that you allowed yourself to go through. And then that's when the heal begins. And then until you can love your own heart, you can't expect somebody else to love it. I mean, literally, you got to love yourself before you can actually truly pour into somebody else's cup. And that's when they say you're whole as a human being, when you can love yourself and someone else.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I did want to ask, because I gotta ask, because I can't cheat the game, y'all. Can't cheat the game. So, like, okay, so you're married. Well, as we have established since, I don't know, the last few months and all this stuff. So that means that everything. That's what? You?
That one, no, not me.
Put a ring on it, they said. He said, okay.
Yeah, come on a date.
So I know you guys have never, had a fight or a disagreement or argument ever in your marriage.
Oh,
Never.
Right? But
not even today.
I can only imagine. But anyway, here's the thing. As understanding as you guys are, as kind as you are, as strong as you are, look, there are challenges, man. You know what I mean? And you've shared a little bit about that. But if you guys can talk a little bit about the things you do to respect and love the other person, even maybe when you're clashing heads, or to understand the other person and what they need. We've talked about love languages, but also applying love languages can mean in those times of conflict, allowing the other person to be who they need to be in that unhappy place, which I understand as a caretaker, it's kind of what you do. It's kind of what you have to do sometimes. It's just like, we just have to let them be in that place. So if you guys could talk a little bit about that on both sides of it, because I know there are challenges with that. We
pray a lot. So before we found our faith, a little over a year ago, when I say find our faith, we've always been faithful people, but not religiously faithful, if that makes sense. And when I say religiously faithful, I mean going to church, getting baptized, doing all the things,
spreading word in the community,
praying and serving, our community, praying over each other, praying for each other, praying together with each other. So those are what I mean religiously faithful things. So we learn how to talk to each other through therapy, because we did not know how to communicate to each other. It's almost like one of us was waiting for the fire to ignite just to unload on the other. And so when we were good, we were great. But when we were bad, I don't even want to remember what we were, because it was bad. But now having epilepsy and being a wife and a caregiver, it changes the whole perspective on things, because one of his triggers could be stress. And so I don't want to add stress to my husband. So it's learning how, and this has a lot to do with faith. And I know some people, women especially, aren't going to understand this right now, but it's being a godly wife to your husband. And sometimes not everything needs a comment. And I'm not in this world today, especially the way that I was raised, is to be strong, independent. I don't need a man type of person, right? That's not so true. Everybody needs somebody to love. Everybody needs someone to lean on. Nobody wants to die lonely. Nobody wants to die lonely. So it learned me to bite my tongue a lot, pick and choose my battles. Not every conflict between the two of us deserves energy. And we were fueling each other's fires all the time and just giving it energy that it didn't need to get. And we've had conflicts, and when we realize that we're having a conflict, we stay silent. And we don't feed back and forth to each other. And maybe later, in an hour or 2 hours, a day or two goes by, we learn how to communicate that frustration, how we were feeling in a different time. Because to continue an argument and to keep going back and forth with each other serves us no purpose.
Right.
And a lot of that stuff works its stuff out. In marriage,
it does.
You're just patient, and instead of screaming and yelling and throwing something, you're like, I'm just going to be quiet and wait in 15, 20, 30 minutes, an hour, sometimes longer, but sometimes quickly. You're like, I'm not, man, I would have overreacted legitimately. You know what I mean? I can look at her and go, man, that wasn't cool, but whatever, no big deal. You know what I mean? I'm not tripping. But an hour ago, I'd have been really mad. I'm so glad I waited,
In fact, when we got married in our wedding vows, when we got married, my best friend who married us, she had said about Curtis likes to talk under his breath. Now he's gotten so much better at that.
I say it out loud now.
But now he just says it out loud.
You're no man.
Thank you,
Because
Epilepsy.
there was a small filter before, now there is completely no
None.
filter. And I think sometimes he'll say stuff and then he'll be like, wow, did I just say that out loud? But, and he'd be like, I didn't mean the way that sounded. But, you know, I think for us, we do what works for us. What that works for us may not work for you.
That's right. And the main thing you got to do is when you're in a relationship like that and you're going through some things, you got to remember you got to set boundaries. You got to tell a person from the very get-go, this is what I don't want to get it into. I don't want to turn this into an argument. So you have to be understanding. But a lot of that comes from talking to someone and versus talking at them. Now, you can talk at me all day. When you do that, I'm not going to listen. But if you talk to me, now you'll get a response that you deserve. And I think in the beginning, that was one of our problems because she was used to being the strong one all the time. And I tell you, you're not going to speak to me any kind of way. I don't have to give you an answer. There's no rule that says I have to talk right now. And I think that's where we're at. We weren't being adult about the situation. And after finding out we had epilepsy, it really, I think, really brought us together. But after therapy, we did a lot of therapy to teach us how to interact with each other and to understand when your partner is going through something, like you have to pay attention. Like they're not going to tell you all the time. You have to keep an eye on the signs. And if, like Ashleigh, she likes to talk, no. But if she's quiet, then now you know something's wrong. You know, like me, I'm bubbly sometimes, but if I'm off to myself, she knows something's wrong. And I think that's key, is to learn your partner. Like actions never lie. You know?
Yeah, and when we're both silent and we're both in that space, we learn to respect each other instead of being in each other's faces. To be like, what's wrong? Talk to me. I want to know. Let's fix this. You have to give your person your space, because sometimes they need, that's what you need. You need time. I'm a marinator. So like when we have a disagreement and stuff, this goes for me in any relationship. This is not just in my marriage. If someone's attacking me or coming at me or saying things, I take a minute to think about it, because I, for the most part of my life, was spitfire. You said something to me, I was spit and fire right back to you. And it never served me any purpose. And I found myself into more trouble, more hot water than if I were just to sit and marinate on something and be like, all right, let me think this through. Or have you ever been in that situation where like someone's going back and forth with you, and then like an hour, 2 hours later, you're like, damn, I should have said that to them. I've learned how to sit back and do that so that I don't have to have those, damn, I should have said that moment, because I did get to say it, because I got to marinate over it. And while I'm sitting there marinating, I realize this isn't even worth my time.
Yeah, but every now and again, a snappy comeback that just cuts their head off.
Oh, we still do that.
You definitely got to chop the knees off now and then. And definitely got to
keep them on their toes.
That's right.
Oh, I didn't realize I was dealing with a stupid person. My bad.
Shot block, 15-yard penalty.
I forgot this is your world. We're all just living in it.
Every marital argument should come with a referee. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Flag on the roughing the passer.
All sides. Encroachment on the wife.
Invading personal space.
That it's just beautiful what you guys have. I know wanted to talk about your background, and we did some of that today, but it's just what you guys have. And everybody knows you're not perfect, because you tell us all, hey, we're not perfect. Everybody knows you go through your own fair share of things, because you share that with us.
Right.
But at the same time, you're doing that. You're reaching out in your community. You're being amazing parents. You're being an amazing husband and wife. You're helping us all with epilepsy and to kind of make sense of it and what it means as an adult, kind of, you know, with a machete and tall grass and just cutting through this thing. You know what I mean? I guess our doctors are the dudes on the stands, you know what I mean? Way up. And I guess we call out to them. They're like, you know, 20 degrees left. And we just, you know, 20 degrees left and keep chopping. And, you know, being out here, taking the lead is so important and huge. And we just appreciate and love you guys for that. So thank you. Thank you for that, man.
We thank you guys also, because if it wasn't for you guys supporting us and showing us some love, we'd still be fighting stigma today. And like I said, if it takes one to create a million, that's what we're here for. We want to landslide. These people have to recognize us, and it starts one conversation at a time. Change lives, you know, speak about it, talk about it, educate a friend. We talked to our banker today. She didn't know one of her friends had a seizure. They was going to put stuff in her mouth. And that's why I push for seizure action plans in all states. Please, we got to get this thing under control. And SUDEP, we need more research, we need more funding, we need education, outreach, because these people are losing their loved ones and it's going silent.
We know this podcast is reaching a lot of people, and we're so blessed and so thankful for that avenue. But we also want to know that anybody that's watching, drop in what state you're watching from. We want to see how far this ripple effect is happening. And if you're watching us on a replay because you weren't able to watch it on the live, hashtag replay. Just let us know where you're coming in at. We would love to feel the ripple with you, and it fills our heart to do these types of things where we can raise awareness in our community, and we can just make someone else's day brighter. And maybe someone's watching this right now that says, hey, I'm in a similar situation and these people are making it look so easy. Trust me when I tell you, it is not easy.
Right.
But everybody puts on a mask, everybody does what they're supposed to do, and at the end of the day, we're still living life like you, and we're still going through the same daily struggles that everybody else is going through, and we're learning every day.
Hey, and also, I also want to make a point here. I had a young lady reach out to me the other day, and what I did was I borrowed her picture, and I made a post, and I thought it was pretty successful because I was trying to show her work off. There's no shot at her from one artist to another. I copyright all my material only because I own it. But I'm here to tell you today, use it, share it. Whatever helps you, I put it out there for you. It's from me to you, and I want you to use it. If you don't want me to use your material, please say something, because I do not want to disrespect anyone ever. But I am a poet, and if I see a picture that goes with my poem, I love to use it. So if you have something out there that you'd love me to write a poem to, please send it in. Let's do some work. Let's network. Let's spread the word for epilepsy. If you see some of our stuff, share it. It's out there for a reason. And that's how we're going to get awareness going. You have to share it. You got to get the algorithm going, and then they'll notice us.
Yeah.
Amen. And we do want to I'll just say this part and then leave it to you guys to wrap up. Every day, every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we drop clips in Epilepsy Awareness South Florida. And then we put them all over the Facebook and internet. But it's a clip of our shows, the shows you guys are doing, and it just helps for everybody to get a little, couple minute little thing in their day to encourage them, something to maybe think about, pray on. And we do that for you. And we don't do it on Monday because Monday we want you to go, where's my morning clip? Oh, I've got to tune in Monday night. Other than that, we got you.
Monday night. That's right.
Yeah, you can find all of the clips that we drop on our Information Lane website on YouTube and on Rumble. It's Information Lane. So if you are looking for them, you want to subscribe, please go ahead and subscribe. If there's any we're a nonprofit, we are 501c. So if there's any organizations out there wanting to partner up, do some sponsorships, we're glad to do that. We want to shout out as many businesses, people that are supporting the podcast. So just reach out to us and let's make some connections. But
that's just so many people out there who support the cause in general. Like everybody that's out there is a Purple Warrior. Hey, our hearts go out to you, your family. And just know that there's people out there to care. There's people out there that are talking for us. They're talking for you. They're talking for your family. So just know that we're here for you guys. And everything we do is in God's name. And it's his mission. He just blessed us with it. So with that being said, please join us every week and tune in and watch the shows. Yeah,
so this is our Rumble page. You can find all the clips and the shorts here. If you ever want to see something, you want to get a little taste of what episode 2 was like, you can find the shorts for it. You can click on it, or you can watch the whole episode. And when you're done watching it, we would love to see what your feedback is. You can drop a little comment in there so we can share it. The more people that comment, the more people that share it, build up that algorithm, the more bang in the community that we're going to make. And that's what we really want to do. This is our YouTube channel. So please like, subscribe, share, let your friends know about it, let your family know about it. You may know someone that has epilepsy, or you may know someone that's trying to deal with some type of diagnosis. I promise you, them watching these clips, it's going to help.
Shout out to Heather and Bobby Marks, K-Dubs Crusaders. Definitely get a chance to like, follow, and share them. Amazing people doing amazing things just like us in this community. They're definitely got their heart in it, and just go check their story out.
And Karina as well. We want to give a shout out to Karina and Daniel. His birthday was yesterday.
Happy
so we want to
birthday,
say
Daniel.
Shouts out to Daniel for a happy heavenly birthday. He passed away from SUDEP, so he will definitely be in our thoughts and prayers this entire weekend. But my name is Ashleigh Lane. This is my husband,
Curtis Lane.
And you can find us at Epilepsy Awareness, SFL for South Florida on Facebook, on YouTube at Information Lane. You can find us on Instagram at Information Lane and on Rumble at Information Lane. I'm going to let my husband take us out with a prayer, and we hope that everybody enjoyed this. Let us know.
Hey, just remember, when you go out into the community, do something nice for somebody else. Hold a door. Tell somebody that they're nice. Wave, just make yourself known in your community. Smile. Love someone else, because that's what we're here for. The world has so much negativity in it. We just need to be the little bit of positivity. So with that being said, can everybody please take your hats off wherever you're at, bow your head, and let's get this prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you for the gift of today. Fill our hearts with peace, our minds with wisdom, and our lives with purpose. Strengthen the weary, heal the hurting, and help us be a light that everyone needs. Guide our steps, protect the families, and remind us that you are all things possible. In Jesus' name, I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen.